Guys, I want to thank you for coming on and joining another episode of our favorite Sings podcast. First and foremost, God is good, man. I can't tell y'all. It's been a blessing. I hope y'all been watching this, because we've been getting some heavy hitters coming these last couple of weeks, man. And we have another great one. First of all, Tiff could not be here. She hates that she couldn't be here. She had a little bit of a quick little emergency. She's all right. She's doing good, but I told her just handle business and come on back. But she is sick that she can't make this one, because today on the show, we have the legendary Pastor Candy West is with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. So, I got a bunch of questions here, but first of all,
let's go for it.
All right. Now I want to do this though. I had a lot of people come up to me lately, like, man, I might want to start a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Anybody's want to start interviewing people, here's what you got to do. Make sure you do your homework. Even if you think you know the person well, because before we came on, I said, let me make sure, I'm going to check real quick on her Instagram if I haven't missed anything. And lo and behold, I got to start with this. So I see you posting something about getting a call to do a background vocal for DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
I said, whoa. I said, hold on, let me push these questions down real quick. How did that happen? Can you just start with that?
Well, absolutely. It was a crazy story how this came about. So I was actually in Dallas during this time. My son's birthday was February 9th. So we went to Dallas to celebrate his birthday on a Tuesday with family and friends, and my sister came down as well. She's been singing with Kanye and the Sunday Service Choir. Jennifer Hudson doing some amazing things. So a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, Anthony Evans, she said, hey, Anthony called. She said he knows that you have, we got the birthday party tonight, but he went to see if we could come by the studio to do a song. And I was just like, like after the party, like seriously, she was like, I know. She was like, but he is like insisting that we be a part of this. So I was like, okay, anything for Anthony. He's a good friend of ours. Let's do it. So we show up to the studio and we're listening to the, mind you, they had already been, a few groups had already been recording earlier that night. We get there with the last group because they were doing us in, sections because of COVID and want to keep things social distance. So we were the last group, my sister, myself, and my god brother, Deonis. And when Anthony began to tell us, he was like, so we're doing this song for DJ Khaled. And I was just like, what? Like, that's so crazy. Like, how random, but amazing is that? So, we show up, of course, we signed NDAs, and I honestly forgot about it. We recorded that song 2 months ago. So wow. I forgot it until they started posting about it on Sunday morning. And I was like, oh yeah, we did do that, didn't we? So it's really cool.
Wow. So, okay. So just again, for people that don't know and things like that, because I watched a little bit just of you showing that. And so basically, is that kind of, not always it works like that, but is it a word of mouth thing? Like, oh no, I know such and such that can help you with this. Is that kind of how things happen sometimes?
Absolutely. Most working relationships and opportunities come from working relationships. So, one relationship begets another one opportunity begets another one. And it's all about being connected. It's all about having a good rapport with people and having a great work ethic. That's really what helps to keep the work coming and people thinking about you. Mind you, I hadn't really been doing a lot of background work for the past few years because my journey's kind of changed, but it's always an honor when people ask me to be a part of a project or, want to include me on something or want me to be a feature. So I love it and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, well, I saw that and I said, we got to start with that real quick. And now, okay. So let me shift back gears. So we love to ask this first question. How did you get to start singing, first of all? And then when did you really know that, hey, hold up now, I might have something here. I'm pretty good. Like, when did you know that as opposed to when you started?
Absolutely. Well, I started singing at the age of 3. I grew up in my grandfather's church. He was the pastor. My mom was the choir director. So naturally, when she realized that I could sing and I can hum and keep a tune, she put a microphone in my hand. And from there, she was I call her my first vocal coach. So my mom was my first vocal coach, my first vocal inspiration, and it just kind of grew from there. So I've always been singing, I could say pretty much for all my life since the age of 3.
And so, but when did you know then, like, you weren't just like, oh, good for singing up the Easter program, but like you could maybe really have a career or something with this? When did that kind of click for you?
I don't think it really clicked for me that I could have a real career until like I became a teenager and I would get asked to sing. I grew up Church of God in Christ, so I would get asked to sing during special nights during our, convocation meetings and stuff like that in Dallas. And it just became a thing that people would ask me to sing on their programs. And one opportunity just beget another. So I didn't even realize until, like I said, I was older, in my adolescent stage, it's like, I think I could really do something with this. And because I didn't want to be a professional singer, I actually wanted to go to school so that I could get a degree in some type of legal degree, because I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Wow. Okay.
I wanted to be an FBI agent. So God had a different plan, and I'm grateful for that.
God has a plan. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right. So then, who were kind of coming up? Who were some of your influences in singing and that when you were developing your voice that you kind of try to emulate maybe?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, my mom is the first person. They call her the songbird of Dallas. Her voice when she was younger sounded a lot like Aretha Franklin. So, between my mom, Aretha Franklin, Shaka Khan, the Clark sisters, those were some of my main vocal influences growing up, and women that I just really admired. And then, of course, as I got older and, music started to evolve, I just found inspiration from a little bit of everywhere.
So what are some of your favorite songs right now, like on rotation? Like who are you kind of liking as you, like in the car or whatever?
Oh, that's hard. Depends on what mood I'm trying to be in. There's a project called a band called the Red Hands Band.
Oh, come on. Yes.
I love, 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 love. I love their music.
Yes.
It's super dope. Yeah, their music is super dope. Let me see who else. I just they would be my main the main band that I'm listening to right now, because I'm really just trying to get into that project. It's a R&B artist. I was listening to her earlier. I'm trying to see if she's in my library, but anyway, I find inspiration from a lot of different places, but Red Hands Band right now is in rotation.
Yeah, I caught their live concert. I'm hoping I can get a couple of them guys on for the show because they were amazing.
They're super dope.
Yeah, check them out. If you're watching or listening to this, please check them out. So I want to ask this. We're kind of coming back. A lot of things are coming back after the pandemic, or we still in the pandemic, but we're kind of opening things up. But do you feel like as a praise and worship leader, there was a time when we were all shut down and we had to make do, a lot of virtual stuff. Did you have to change things up as you ministered to people, even at the height of COVID? Do you have to change things, or were you still kind of able to be yourself as you would minister, even if it was virtual?
Absolutely. I think what the pandemic did for us and having to minister in just a virtual space, it really snatched you out of the comfort of routine. When you're used to being able to pull on the energy from the congregation and pull on, them being able to praise with you and being able to visibly see, which is, you don't realize how codependent you get on the people in the pews until you don't have them visible. And so what the pandemic did, it really made me have to pull from the reservoir of my experience with God, my encounter with God, what I know about him, what I believe about him to be true. And for me to be able to communicate that through worship, for me to be able to interpret that through an experience where people that I don't see on the other side of the screen, and praying that what I'm giving from an authentic place, a place of experience and a place of desperation, that they're getting out of it, they're experiencing him through that.
That's outstanding. Yeah. Every time I see you, it is so powerful whenever you're going forth.
Thank
Um,
you.
I want to ask you though. I mean, you have an amazing gift, and you work very hard, and you got over 20 years in the business, but you've also kind of transitioned into being a successful businesswoman, if you will, and you've got some other irons in the pot and things that you are doing now. So what
Yeah.
made you kind of want to branch out? Because there's nothing wrong with just being a singer, and sing all your life, but what kind of made you want to, like say you give some 5, some 2, some 1, some talents. What made you kind of want to stretch those other talents out?
Well, one of the things that I really began to unpack was being more than a singer. I would get prophetic words like for years that I was more than a singer, that God was going to expand my life and broaden opportunities for me that would stretch beyond the boundaries of music. And so the more I would begin to hear that, I would begin to say, okay, Lord, like, okay, I'm going to preach, I'm going to pastor. I'm hearing all these things. And I'm like, things that I didn't necessarily see for myself, but obviously God saw for me. I'll never forget, I was in a church service. I don't know if you've heard of Bishop Tudor Bismarck, but I was in a church service at a church I was serving in Birmingham. He goes into a prophetic flow. He looks right across the room at me and it says, you're going to be a successful and wealthy businesswoman. And then he began to decree and declare things over my life. And I was just like, it really awakened something in me. My father was a businessman. He was a man of enterprise. And he was a serial entrepreneur. And I just always admired, I don't really call it his hustle, but his drive, his passion. And so when I began to get that word, I was like, okay, there's more in me. I need to really start seeking God about what is it that I have inside of me that I could really start tapping into my other potential. So that's what made me really seek things outside of music, and then realizing that what is it to me? I'll say, if I couldn't sing, and I'll never forget, this is about 3 years ago. I had a man to come to me. He was a prophet after a service. And he said, Candy, the Lord says, what would you do if you could not sing anymore? What would you do if he said you couldn't sing and he didn't want you to sing? What would you do and who would you be? Wow. And that really made me take an introspective look at myself to say, who am I outside of my singing gift? Who do I want to be outside of this? And I really began the journey to start tapping into that business acumen.
Wow, that is amazing. And it's amazing because sometimes we get words and we get a little scared and we get a little apprehensive, and God, I don't know.
Well, yeah.
But it's amazing that you pursued that. And so kind of to tie into that, what do you tell, I'm sure you've been a mentor, you are a pastor, a help to a lot of young artists and musicians. And I'm sure you get the question, how can I do what you're doing? Or how can I got a dream to sing and all that. What do you tell the young musician or the young singer how to get their hustle, if you will, on?
Well, I would first of all tell them to, check their motive. If you're doing it for the sole purpose of money, then you'll be highly disappointed. When you're looking at going after a creative gift like music, you want to do it first because you really have a love for it, that you really are gifted and skilled in it, and that it's something that you could do for free. There have been so many things that I've done just for the love of what I do, to pour and sow into people, and doing things for free because I love it, because I know that there will always be opportunities that will come that will yield greater reward and great reward. So I would first tell them to check their heart, make sure that they are passionate about what they want to do, that they're not just seeking it for the lights, the action, and the opportunity, but they're really doing it because they want to add something. They want to add value to the industry, or there's something that they feel like they're answering a need or a niche. And so I would tell them to start there, and then be professional, be good at what you do. You know, if you know you're entering as a, you want to get into background singing, then study the music, study the artists that you want to work with, know their music. When you go to audition, no more than just the song that you feel like you're comfortable with. Study that artist. Like you said, research the person that you're going to be sitting with or that you're looking to have opportunities with, because those are the things that will give you an edge above other people.
I love that. I love that part. I host a business show as well, and I hear so many people say that is to, I mean, know your craft, whatever you're doing. You a singer, you a chef, whatever. Try to know the ins and outs. I'm so glad you said it that way, guys. This is our favorite things podcast. I am enjoying this so much. I mean, it's so funny, man, how God will. I've seen you singing so many times, and I never figured. I was just like, wow, that's amazing. And some point, man, ask somebody to come on, just see if they're free, if they're available. And it's a blessing talking to you. Just a couple more questions before we end up here.
Okay.
I want to ask you this. You know, you said you came out of Church God in Christ. I came out of Church God in Christ. You know,
all right,
got that old school seasoning, if you will.
Oh yes.
Is there a difference between, I want to say this right, performing and ministering when singing? Is there a difference, or should there be a difference? Maybe I can ask it like that.
Well, if you really look at the real definition of performing, then performing is to execute a task or to achieve a thing. I think the approach would be entertaining versus ministry.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there are spaces when both are needed. You know, there should be some creative elements to what you do in your ministry, because truth be told, nobody wants a boring singer or a boring worship leader or a boring artist. They want to see they want a little razzle dazzle. They want you to show up and act like you really came to give them something other than a good voice. So I do believe that there are some elements. They should have a little spring. And I'm not just saying for the sake of trying to get the crowd or trying to make people move, but there should be some creative, artistic elements in your packaging and your presentation to make what you do interesting, to captivate an audience within the context of your ministry and your gift. You know, I always tell singers, and I've been saying it a lot lately in interviews, like, where is your vocal personality? What's your vocal personality? What's your musical personality? I want to hear that. I want to hear, even if you're singing Tasha Cobb's song, I want to hear you sing it like you sing it. Yes. You know, if Candy West does a Tasha Cobb song or a Kiara Sheard song, she's going to sing it like it was written for Candy West. And that's my vocal personality. So I always tell people it's okay to let your vocal personality or your, musical personality show through the music, because I think that that's what adds that creative element. It keeps it dynamic and interesting.
Okay, I got to make sure everybody in my choir hears this, because sometimes I'll give somebody a song to sing for the choir and they're trying to sing it exactly how the singer, I'm like, listen, if we wanted Kiara to do it, we'll bring Kiara in. We don't want you to do it. But they struggle with that because they're like, well, I don't know how to sing it. I don't know how to, but you guys are hearing
it's a masterclass. It really is. I do believe that you don't just give God your art of worship, but you give him your heart of worship, but the art is in the heart. And so I believe that there is a way that you can tie the two together. The art doesn't lead, the heart leads out. But that creative element is what helps to, like I said, make it interesting, make it dynamic, and not be boring. Like you said, don't sing it just, we want Kiara to sing, we would have brought Kiara in. What's your vocal personality? How would you sing it if this song was given to you? That's what I want to hear.
I love that. I love that. So my last question, again, I don't want to assume every time I've seen you up there, it's just roses and all that, but it seems that way. Like every time I see you, the energy is there, and it does engage me when I watch you. How do you do that, especially on the days where you're maybe not really feeling there, man, or something just happened or something's going on? We never see that, but I've seen some folk get up to sing, and Lord, you can already tell something happened because they don't have it. How do you maintain that and are able to portray to the person as if everything's all right?
Ooh, well, first of all, sometimes it is a great push. It just depends on what's happening in life. You know, sometimes you get a message right before you go out to minister. Sometimes it's dealing with something and or putting out a fire at home or dealing with a family issue or dealing with a life issue right before you have to minister and you have to pull it together. And the way I'm able to do that is to remember who I'm singing about, who I'm singing for, and how I want the people to be impacted, and letting those songs minister to me too, because they weren't just written for me to sing to the people, they were written for me to communicate to God, but there was something that I should be able to get out of it too. So when I push through, let me let this minister to me. You know, I want to sing this song. You know, I want this song to minister to my spirit. I want it to minister to my situation. And that's what makes the ministry even more powerful. Like, remember who you're doing it to. Remember who you're doing it for. Those are things that help me to stay positive and remember and stay locked into the moment that I'm called to.
Awesome, awesome. Guys, this has been an amazing interview. I mean, if they don't know, can you just let people know where they can find you, your plugs, your IGs,
Yeah,
whatever?
absolutely. Well, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, The Candy West. On Instagram and Facebook, I am on Twitter at Candy West, and I have a website, candywest.com. And if you just want to shop, ladies, if you just want to shop my boutique
Yes.
and want to get something special for your lady, you can go to Uptown Orchid, ORCHID, like the flower, uptownorchid.com, and go and get something special.
Yes, yes. Like I told y'all, she's wearing many hats. She's got a whole bunch of things going on. I mean, the music. I don't know. I not just because you was on, but I've been bumping that Watch God Work It Out. That's just been kind of been lately. I've been
Thank
just
you.
watch. Yeah, it's been hot. I
Yes.
mean, y'all just type her name in Apple Music and watch all the stuff that come up and just have yourself a good little time. But
Yes.
thank you so much for the time. You know where to check us out, of course, our favorite Sings podcast on the Mighty Sharp Network. Tiff, we love you. I know she missed this one here, but I
Yes.
appreciate you so much, guys. I'm serious. Be a blessing. Listen, just when you play the songs on Apple Music, it helps the artists. It's giving them spins. So come on,
Yeah,
show a little love.
get them streams. We trying to get them numbers, fam.
And let's
Trying to get
go.
the numbers.
Spotify, whatever. So again, Pastor Candy West, thank you for the time. I appreciate you for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and blessings to you and Tiff.